little snack goat shoe. Nicely done. Fights for every bit of that along the way. And there will be no shutouts in game numero uno.
And a little snack, finding just that, a little snack here into the back of the net. Put them up on the board. That'll allow them to eat up a little bit of this space.
I mean, that's great and all, but you're looking in the wrong spot. Shark motion needs to stay in motion or else they die. Monkey gonna ensure the rest of the team does so as well. Flawless victory.
Pretty good at this time, and we talked about how Sonic with the lead is such a scary character, especially if you're able to really just take away any space. Arsene comes out now, Big Brother is watching, goes for the up air up top, isn't going to be able to take the stock just yet, and I love the use of the up B. We are live again and back with some more with SEA's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This week we got Kennedy Catholic against Lake Stevens. My name's Spicy and I'm joined on the mic here with Kaizo. How are we doing today, Kaizo?
Always a good day for Smash Bros. I wish that I could have that. I probably could get that on a t-shirt. That wouldn't be too hard, and I would wear that one proudly.
That'd be a hype t-shirt.
Because you're right, it would be a hype t-shirt, and that is the situation we're in right now. Kennedy Catholic coming in 1-4, so a bit of a rougher season for them, and then we're putting them up against this week Lake Stevens, who, Spicy, we were just talking before the broadcast. This is a team with a lot of reschedules. They've only got 3 matches played, so still not a super well-tested team yet. We're not really sure where they stack up in comparison to some of these other teams, so it is going to be a very big week for them to demonstrate, do they belong at the above 500 mark, or is Kennedy Catholic going to be a stumbling block?
Oh, definitely, especially with where at the point we are in the season. There's like 2 official weeks left, including this, so there's like not a lot of time. It's do or die now. Every game really starts to matter. If you're Lake Stevens especially, you got a lot of games to go through, and if you're gonna play at your best, you might as well start now. And we're gonna be getting into this matchup, but before we do so, always got to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Zotac Gaming, for powering today's stream. Thank you again to their incredible support. We're able to bring all this broadcast to all of you guys, helping to showcase the amazing talent in Scholastic Esports. Show your appreciation for Zotac Gaming by giving them a shout out on social media, and when you do, make sure to join their community on Discord and use the hashtag powered by Zotac and hashtag Zotac USA whenever you post.
And on that note, Spicy, I do think we are ready to get underway. And you mentioned this is kind of the latter stages of the regular season, right? So we've only got these 2 last couple of weeks left to play. So not necessarily going to be thinking about playoff contention here for Kennedy Catholic. They are working their way back toward 500, though. And for some of these longer standing teams, people in teams and rosters and schools that have a little bit more experience, plan to be in the scene for a lot longer, it's not only about what your record is at the end of the day and what you manage to place in the playoffs, how well you do. It's also about learning and getting ready for the next year. So I think that's kind of the mindset that we've got here for Kennedy Catholic, who are going to be represented by KCHS Gaming, and across the way it will be Lake Stevens playing that Ness. I want to see how they go out on the end of the season here, even when they aren't necessarily playing for a #1 seed.
Yeah, it's really about playing pretty much for your season at this point. Kennedy Catholic, just trying to end the season positively. Lake Stevens, they still got potential playoffs to look for here. You got the Cloud Ness matchup, interesting one to start off with as well. Ness, a very volatile character at times, such strong advantages in the offensive game. Cloud also having insane punish games, insane combo routes, and it's just overall a great character that thrives on the offense. You saw the limit break come out there with that extended blade beam and just trying to do what they can here. The forward smash is going to take the first stock here as Kennedy Catholic looking off to be on a hot start.
Yeah, and you mentioned the whiff punishes that Cloud does so incredibly well. If you're not careful, you throw out too laggy of an option, you will be eating those F smashes, or, I mean, usually like a back air, forward air, that kind of thing, but sometimes you're just feeling hot with the F smash and you throw them out, and Ness will go ahead and throw Kennedy Catholic off the stage, which will even back out our stock count here, and momentum certainly beginning to swing in the direction of Kennedy Catholic. I think that Cloud definitely one that you have to play very careful around. You can't just throw out some of these options willy-nilly. You will get punished like we were just talking about. And Kennedy Catholic doing an excellent job so far of finding those opportunities and cashing in. But this is going to be a tough one. Thrown very far horizontally off the stage. That is not where you want to be for Kennedy Catholic.
Oh, definitely not. Neither one of these characters really wants to be off stage against the other one in this matchup. And Ness has all of those longer range projectiles that you can control. Makes it difficult for Cloud to get back. Loses the jump also. PK Flash coming out, and you have to watch out for the yo-yo. But here we are. Kennedy Catholic responding with another forward smash. Has the limit break on deck. Pops out the cross slash. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get anything off of it. And instead has to face down about a 50% lead, but still has an opportunity to make something happen here.
And Sylvie for Lake Stevens trying to close this one out with the last stock available on Kennedy Catholic. Ardina for Kennedy trying to stick around, but wow, you are not gonna last long getting hit by a PK Flash like that. That eviscerated him at only about 90% on the ledge, sent them all the way up to that top blast zone. And just as soon as you like it, Kennedy Catholic taking an early spill here, and it is Lake Stevens that go up the early lead. And Sylvie, I mentioned earlier, Spicy, was throwing out a lot of laggier options. It felt like getting whiff punished a lot, but they really cleaned that up as the game progressed onward. And the advantage state that Sylvie had on that nest throughout the course of that game looked very, very strong.
Oh yeah, you love to see like the advantage states from both of these players really start to shine here. It's like the combo games and the combo routes really from both of these characters are pretty well defined at this point in the game. You see the down throw into the fair start to come out, knowing that there's also edge guard opportunities here with this yo-yo, and Lake Stevens having a lot of momentum already off the bat here. Love the roll into yo-yo as well, as we're just tacking on this percent early, as Cloud hasn't been able to get anything up to this point.
He looks untouchable on this nest right now, looking very comfortable here, and Blade Beam does come out. That's going to break the limits. This recovery, if he gets thrown off stage, would be a much more challenging one. And still untouched somehow in this one. Finally, a dash attack will start tacking on a little bit of percentage, and I saw the Nessa's life flash before their eyes and might do it just again here. Does have the jump, so has an additional option to get back to the ledge, but another F smash to push him off the stage, getting a lot of mileage out of that one, but will be very, very far away as a result of that back throw. Thrown to that top left corner, that'll get the job done.
We'll say Kennedy Catholic did a great job there of at least putting on offensive pressure at that point. You saw that the limit cross slash, if that connected, would have put this in a really bad spot, and now the back air coming out, tacking on extra percentage. One limit break once again up here. Not going to be able to pop it just yet. Ends up going for the blade beam, but it's up smash, catching them on the platform, and that's going to be the equalizer here as we try to see if Kennedy Catholic can take this to a game 3.
These platforms haven't come into play a whole lot. Most of it's been either right directly in the center of the stage, or wow, what an air dodge read there from Lake Stevens. But this configuration of the platforms really hasn't made much of a difference. I mean, it's been a lot of play on the ledge and in center stage. Cloud's up smash is very, very good at contending with those left and right platforms, but I mean, you got to be in control, you got to be in advantage state to even get the opportunity to cash in on those. And now Kennedy Catholic down to their potential last stock in this game number 1. 83% on this Cloud, and those PK flashes, Spicy, are doing so much work here.
Yeah, it's really rough here because Cloud has a very linear recovery as well. The forward smash is going to come out. Watch this percentage though. We're at 125. Limit break is an option here. The blade beam going to come out. Put on a quick 19% as the back air also responding. We have a bit of a tech chase on our hands as now, as suddenly Kennedy Catholic feels very much in this game, especially with all of this Cloud Rage. Missing the grab. There's gonna be another whiff smash attack here, and this is a really dire spot here for both of these players.
Dash attack will send the Ness off stage, and he gets rolled behind. Spot dodge, roll behind, grab again, scramble in the center, but the back air will get it done. They managed to hang on to that last stock for Lake Stevens, and despite a little bit of early going that wasn't so comfortable for this Ness, Ardina does end up falling to Sylvie for game number 1. That'll put 2 points on the board for Lake Stevens here as we transition out of game number 1 and into game number 2. Shoutouts to Lake Stevens, man. That Sylvie Ness really started to adapt as that game progressed, and that's the most critical thing to me in that game, Spicy. I mean, it's one thing to come in hot and just have a hot streak, but it shows a different level of understanding when you're making those adaptations on the fly.
Oh, definitely. Especially because you saw some of those options that Sylvie was going for, like PK Flash, especially. Very risky option to go for it unless you know what you're doing. And you kind of saw that Sylvie was pretty much able to read those recoveries from Ardina, which really set up for those PK Flash opportunities. And when we saw those come out, it took many stocks here. And we love to see those kind of adaptations across all levels of Smash. And that bodes well for Lake Stevens, who are trying to, once again, as we've been discussing, they're trying to get that spot in the playoffs. They just have a lot more games to play still. But if they're off to this good start, who knows what their ceiling could be.
And that is the thing about these reschedules. Maybe I oversell it, Spicy, but I talk a lot in esports about momentum, because I really do feel like esports is a very emotionally engaging activity, and the more momentum you can get, the easier these games can feel. And if you reschedule a bunch of games like Lake Stevens has, one after the other, you can get quite a bit of steam going that other teams just playing through the regular season normally might not be able to have. And if you can come out of this one with a victory over a Kennedy Catholic team that has been struggling a little bit, might be a little bit of a softer opponent than you'd be facing in the playoffs, you can really start to get that momentum going as we get underway here in game number 2.
And here we are for this second matchup. It looks like we have Lil Willio here with the Terry on Lake Stevens, and Hyogos here from Kennedy Catholic with the Ridley. Interesting matchup so far with the Terry and the Ridley here. Ridley a bit of combo food at least here, especially against Terry, who has such great options here on the offensive end. But Kennedy Catholic doing a great job here with the zoning and kind of just tagging on all this percentage. As Lake Stevens suddenly finds themselves with the go meter, you saw the Buster Wolf already coming out. And with this super special moves in play, it really isn't even.
And Go Meter makes a lot of miracles happen in this game, and gonna maybe need a couple of them. That neutral B from Ridley really seems to be a problem for this Lake Stevens Terry, so we'll see what the adaptation's gonna be. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Buster Wolf into the fully charged down smash isn't gonna be the best adaptation, but you can see starting to flirt around with the idea of playing around these platforms, getting an aerial approach, but couldn't manage to break the zone there. You don't typically see this matchup being this slow, but why not? Kind of slow things down if you're Kennedy Catholic, and it seems to be going well for you. Just space out with the fireballs, not let Mr. Blonde Hair mash on you, and just get all of those good aggressive options down. This is a much, much more zoner approach to Ridley than you typically see, but working out pretty well so far.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do lose the stock there, but I like the zoning approach as you were mentioning here. Terry does so well up close and personal, especially against a fighter like Ridley, who is a bigger character with it's also not as heavy as you really think. So they do get themselves into bad situations pretty often here. And suddenly, up close and personal comes into play as Lake Stevens has taken the percentage lead and has now, with that rising tackle, putting this Ridley in a really dangerous situation here. You're starting to see them slow down once again. Side B coming out, and they're both navigating this pretty close so far. It's pretty much anyone's game here on this second stock, and this one is going to be pivotal pretty much here in this first game.
The Lake Stevens Terry, very grounded game here as it gets thrown off to the right-hand side. Will be forced to recover into the onslaught of fireballs once again, and Power Dunk did not snap the ledge, so does end up losing the stock for that one. At least gets some damage for their troubles. We'll immediately lay back down some pressure here on the edge guard on this Ridley. 176 on the big dragon as they're off stage, and gets directly into that up smash, which will be the equalizer here in game number 1 between these two fighters. It has been very much a grounded game from this Terry, which has led to a bit of struggles around that neutral B, but once the neutral B stops coming out for this Ridley, I mean, they're getting a lot of good damage off, and not really seeming to be a whole lot of answers for this Ridley.
Yeah, you start to see the command grab really starting to make its way here now. And the fireballs now. This is a really scary spot here for this Terry. They make it back, but now they have the go meter. It's so close, but up smash catches the platform here as Kennedy Catholic taking the lead here in this second set, up 1-0 so far in what was a relatively close game.
And we're going to have to see some large-scale game plan changes here from the Terry if they want to come away with the game in game number 2. Because it really did feel as black and white to me, Spicy, as once the game slowed down and we saw a little bit more of those fireballs come out, Terry just did not have the tools required to navigate through that minefield and get to this Ridley. But, I mean, we haven't seen a ton of crack shoots. We haven't seen a whole lot of them. I'm assuming this has something to do with a stage selection, not wanting to go back to small battlefield, which is why you can see both players beginning to SD here and get the reset off. But this Terry for Lake Stevens needs to use the crack shoot a little bit more. I feel like that's Terry's best zone breaking tool, probably one of the better zone breaking tools the game has to offer. We didn't see pretty much any of it save for maybe a couple of recovery options. And then also using the aerial approach with some of those aerials that Terry has. I mean, fair, once you're approaching a Ridley, there's not a whole lot he can do about that. It is a very good opportunity to get your way in and try to break up that zone. But whatever option they pick, I mean, it's really got to be able to deal with this slower gameplay that Kennedy Catholic has set up here. So we get back underway for game number 2, and Lake Stevens down 1-0 in this, and we go back to Kalos, Spicy.
Kalos is an interesting option here, and you're immediately seeing the adaptation. You saw the use of the aerial approach as we were hoping to see that adaptation just start to come through. I like the use of Power Dunk as well, just to close the space in. You mentioned Crack Shoot as a great option, Power Dunk to help kind of mix that up. Can be great options here for this Terry to really just get and close that space here, because it really did feel as simple as whoever is winning the spacing battle is pretty much just winning this matchup here. This time, Kennedy Catholic having a harder time establishing that space. But Kalos, they have some bigger room to work with here for that fire. But you see the Buster Wolf coming from the left side of the stage, not able to pick off this Ridley just yet, as the up B going to come out. What a counter action we are seeing so far, as no one has lost this first stock yet.
Somehow, but 173 on this Terry means somebody's going soon, Spicy, and it is Mr. Bogard that gets sent to that top blast zone. Will immediately respawn and get grabbed and thrown off to the left-hand side. You mentioned the adaptation in the early game. It hasn't really paid a whole ton of dividends. Still down just a little bit here, but this Ridley is very high percent, getting close to the point that those down tilts will lead to a kill with the Power Dunk. I think maybe a rising tackle could have done it there, but enough space on Kalos to keep the Dragon alive a little bit longer. But wow, a burn knuckle for the recovery will burst straight through that Ridley and even the stock count back up.
Yeah, and having this even game here, this isn't too bad here for this Terry. 62%, that's a unfortunate misinput, it looks like here. Down smash going to send him up once again, but the go meter is in play. Haven't seen a lot of great utilization of it yet, but that could change here in this second stock. Power Dunk coming out once again. The Buster Wolf also being an option. Wondering if Power Geyser is going to start to be a move here. Right? Maybe it's an anti-air, or at least it's just an option to at least figure out a way to extend this offensive pressure, but the side B command grab coming out once again here from Kennedy Catholic as they're pouring on the percentage. You're already up by 100 about at this time, as you start to see the power waves also coming out here from this Terry, and it's become a bit of a zoning game at times from both of these players.
And another burn knuckle there to break things up and start to tack on a little bit more damage. Buster Wolf, hang on, just do it again, why don't you? That'll grab him on the ledge and send him all the way to that left-hand blast zone. And what looked a little bit rough for this Terry, I mean, suddenly a pretty decent lead. 141 still is the go meter, but could be losing it here. This is going to be a dangerous recovery pattern, especially with those smash attacks that's Ridley's throwing out, just waiting to trade with something. And they'll get a hold of one of them and at least manage to even the stock count back up. But percent lead still very much in favor of Lake Stevens. As Kennedy Catholic has about 70% on them. You can see a bit of a flub on those inputs. Some of those special inputs are not the easiest to land, especially at this level of play. And you can see now beginning to play a little bit more grounded, a little bit safer, and beginning to get a lot better in this matchup overall.
Yeah, and you're starting to see that Ridley's options are getting punished pretty nicely here from this Terry. Lake Stevens, another great adaptation coming through, but they're in an edge guarding spot, and this is where Ridley starts to really thrive once they get this space here. Kennedy Catholic doesn't want to go to a game 3, just wants to end it here in game 2, and it's so even so far at this last stock. Power dunk coming out, not going to take the stock just yet here on Kalos, but the up smash will, as Kennedy Catholic back against the wall. Doesn't matter, they take this set 2-0 and tie it up at 2 apiece.
Yeah, that'll get them 2 points to get back to even with Lake Stevens. Even Steven, one might say, Spicy. I really did think that that was starting to go the opposite direction. It looked like Lake Stevens were beginning to come into their own in that matchup. That game number 2 really felt like it was gradually shifting in the Terry's favor. Like the matchup knowledge was gradually beginning to come in. I don't want to say, I mean, you hear the word downloaded thrown around, and that's like when, you know, all of the answers are showing themselves and it's clear that you're not going to drop any more games because you've figured out whatever the opponent's game plan is. It didn't feel to that extent spicy, but I definitely felt the momentum shifting in the Terry's direction. Once that slower pace from the Ridley wasn't paying out as much, it was a lot more of a scramble. I mean, it was a lot more throw out a smash attack and hope for it, throw out a side B and hope that it lands, as opposed to that slower, more structured play from the Ridley. So I think that you kind of got away with one there for Kennedy Catholic as we even things back up to 2-2, but however you get there, it is certainly back to equality between these two teams.
It's certainly interesting just looking at kind of the play style differences from both of these teams. I feel like Lake Stevens, you kind of see a little more like application of tech in a way. You really saw it from Willia with that Terry, where you looked at the attempts, especially with the command inputs. You saw a lot of Buster Wolf. You saw it, also the flubs on it there. Kennedy Catholic, you can tell like the game plans maybe like arguably simple, but they're very grounded and very effective. It's pretty efficient. Like you saw that from the Ridley, where it's like, yes, we can go for like more of these crazy plays, but no, we'll keep the plan simple. We'll zone. When they get close, we'll smash attack and we'll get stocks this way. Sometimes keeping it simple, like that's all you need here. And it's like, it's so interesting kind of seeing like the difference in play styles really from all these players so far, even from like at a school level, which is really cool, especially as we go into these next few matchups with these quote unquote more these better players. This next matchup being 3 points, really important as we are going into a Jigglypuff versus Ridley matchup.
Ridley one more time, in case you didn't get enough of him in the previous one, and against the Jigglypuff, this is on paper a terrifying matchup for Jigglypuff. Anything that has a shield breaker, which of course would just literally kill Jigglypuff instantly, is a challenging one to navigate around, but at least in Ridley's case, that down B skewer isn't one that you see a ton of, at least in terms of things that get paid off, and the Fair Train will drag this Ridley Ridley off to the right-hand side of the screen. No issues so far in this matchup for Lake Stevens. In fact, getting a very dominant lead in this one. And a lot of space control, even in the edge guard situations. Had an opportunity there to finish it off, but instead will be Ridley getting the reversal here and claiming center stage once more.
Town and City as well. Jigglypuff gets so much value from these walls of pain, just these aerial trains as you've been mentioning it as. But it doesn't really matter though. We were talking about how like this is such a scary match for Jigglypuff as well. So many ways for Ridley to find the stock. It was the up smash to put them into a really rough spot there, and now Jack, this second Ridley here from Kennedy Catholic, is up so far despite the huge offensive powerhousing that we were seeing from Ultra.
And Ultra does have this Ridley at about kill percent. I mean, we're not talking a random hit in center stage, but certainly we'll be able to get it done with that dash attack, and just as easy as you saw it, that lead immediately gets disappeared. These low percent combos from this Jigglypuff have been phenomenal. You can see the Dare Train coming to town now. Not one that you often see, but definitely got a whole bunch of damage out of that one, and has retaken the lead here now. When a rest setup does not, unfortunately, land, it's 21% and you get exploded. Oh, that just feels unfair.
That's so unfortunate. Yeah, Town and City side blast zones coming into play here. And that's so rough because Lake Stevens Ultra was doing such a great job of putting Kennedy Catholic's Jack into that spot. It's an untechable that's going to send us into a tied game here on this last stock, and this is such a scary spot to be in. The last thing you want to see if you are a Ridley is a Jigglypuff on last stock, where a rest at any time, especially once we're into the mid percents after these drills, is going to seal the game.
And a good pound there. Hang on. Takes him off to the right side of the stage. 73% on this Ridley. The rest would certainly get it done. He's going to go for it again! 21% once more! And somehow manages to live through that one. I don't know if it was closer to the center or less rage on the Ridley, but manages to live through the rest setup flub and keep his hopes alive for this game number 1. That is 2 times in a row now that almost managed to explode the stock from this Ridley, but instead took a whole bunch of damage for it. You can see this Ridley. Jack is just throwing out the smash attack, but here comes the Sing, and here comes the rest. Not going to mess up that time around, and they will be able to find it here. Ultra from Lake Stevens looking very commanding in that one.
Yeah, the pulling off the mango, the reading that roll, getting the Sing, and then you get the rest off. You missed the rest the first 2 times, but I love the confidence to go for it a 3rd time. Yes, they were sleeping, but it's a matter of just being able to get that's insane there.
Yeah, and I think that you're right to call out the fact that even though you mess up the first 2, you still go for the 3rd one. That demonstrates confidence and comfortability with the character, because I think that if you're a less experienced Jigglypuff player, you're like, oh, well, I messed up the rest confirm, that's obviously not going well for me, maybe I should try to do something different. You gotta stick to your guns, man. I mean, that is one of the things that makes Jigglypuff an actually potent threat, especially in a matchup like this one where you've got a bigger body to work with. So I love the fact that Ultra stuck with it and went for that 3rd setup and goes for the rest again. I'd love to see no adaptation in the playstyle whatsoever from Ultra on this Jigglypuff, because at the end of the day, the only reason that was even close, Spicy, was because of execution errors. There was no difficulty in the strategy. I mean, the matchup is very clearly one that they're very comfortable with. I'd love to see Ultra do the same thing again.
For sure, and you gotta give credit as well to Jack taking advantage of those errors here. It doesn't matter how you take a stock, it just matters that you do. Almost securing that game, just unfortunately falling victim to Sing and eventually getting hit by that last rest. Here we are now in game 2. Ooh. Almost another rolling, but instead the lingering hitbox of Sing comes through here, and now what an option here as Ultra up a stock. That's 2 consecutive rests in a row as well, which is gotta give something good there for them.
A back throw there will set up an edge guard, but Won't be able to find the stock off of it. You can see the fair train coming into town once again, just trying to shove this Ridley off stage as quickly as possible and try to abuse them with that good fair hitbox. And another Sing on the platform. Hello, a second rest from Lake Stevens, and doesn't even lose the stock, doesn't take any damage for it, Spicy. What a game here from Ultra.
It's just a matter of landing that first rest. That is the, what is this now, the third stock in a row that's just been taken with rest, especially off of Sing. And you're seeing such great conversions, able to set up for Sing, which is not exactly an easy move to land all the time, but you're getting them into these tech chase situations. You're comboing here with these walls of pain, throwing out a Sing in center stage for some good measure, and going over towards the ledge once again. Doesn't matter, not going to connect at this time here, and Jack back against the wall now, especially at 105%. Has to dig deep here if they want to take us to a game 3. That stock is going to help.
It's got 2 more to take away from this Jigglypuff, though, and all the while, they're going to have to dodge this. The Sing into, well, hang on a second. Here's another rest that doesn't find the mark. So a second life will give Ultra another opportunity to land that one. The rest does come through the next time around, and it will be another Lake Stevens W. Ultra just looked better and better as that set went on.
Ultra really came into their own, it felt like, especially at the end of game 1, and they carried that through the entire first half of game 2. I love how you saw it from more than just the Sing and the rest usage. The offense overall was really potent there, and with Jigglypuff, you have to know what you're doing with those aerial conversions, using those drills to maximize the damage. Jack really wasn't able to do much there against the Jigglypuff that knew what they were doing, and Jack was playing pretty well at times throughout that matchup. So all the props there for Ultra from Lake Stevens as they take 3 more points and are up in this matchup 5-2.
Your best friend is your shield when you're playing against Jigglypuff, and some of our best friends, Spicy, are over at LandFest, and we want to give them a big shout out and a big thank you for helping us build healthy communities through gaming. They've got over 20 chapters across the US, and they field over 150 events per year. If you want to get involved, you want to get underway with some of these lands of your own, you can go to landfest.com and check out the Washington chapters if you're in the WSSEA area. Infernal Land and Emerald City Landfest are likely to be around the area, but definitely check the website, find an event near you, and get involved in some of the Smash Bros action and any other esport that you want to participate in as we get back underway here in game number 4, Spicy, between Lake Stevens and Kennedy Catholic. And we got the Bayonetta versus Dark Pit, so a very dark color pattern kind of matchup between these two, and 2 characters that you don't see a whole lot of these days.
Yeah, Dark Pit especially, rocked by Rocco here from Kennedy Catholic, considered to be a very honest character, and then Bayonetta here from Lake Stevens, Fugo, not a character you saw all the time, really prominent in Europe of all places here. And that combo game, especially by Bayos who know what they're doing, so prominent. But you get the witch time. Unfortunately, you get the nerf the witch time, and it's not going to lead to that stock there. As Kennedy Catholic's Rocco stays alive here, has to get some combos going of their own here against his Bayonetta.
Man, watching a good Bayonetta always makes me feel like they just kind of make it up as they go along. And I don't mean like the combos, I mean like the moves and the movement. It just seems like they're always like, oh, I need another dash, another jump. Sure, I'll just throw in one more. I've got it, why not? They will get caught with that neutral getup, though, by the up smash from Rocco, who has found their way back into this stock somehow. 165% on the Dark Pit, and an F smash one direction, F smash the other direction will even things back out. But Rocco was looking rough there in the beginning, and they somehow got back to equality very, very quickly.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of just building on the percentage at every time you can get here. Knowing that Bayonetta doesn't exactly have the easiest kill options at those higher percents, especially when you don't have a combo to lead into it, you're able to kind of just add on percent as we go. And Rocco, once again, has to find themselves in a situation where they got to do exactly that. hasn't gotten a percentage at all, and no hits so far on this second stock. As Fugo looking really good so far, only 11%, and going
No
down,
way.
way down under, and living still. What a stock here.
This is what I'm talking about, man. They just make it back from the most ridiculous situations by just adding more jumps and more dashes. I don't know how it works. I'm not going to pretend that you should know how it works, but you can bet your bottom dollar that Fugo absolutely knows how it works. And they are up a full stock here over Kennedy Catholic. They're already 3 points up in this matchup. This would be a very big win for them as they work their way toward this week win over Kennedy Catholic. And Rocco looked very good at the end of stock number 1, but gonna need to channel a little bit more of that as they almost get clipped on the recovery, but will manage to make it back into center stage and contend once again with this Bayonetta, who's really just putting them in the blender.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you see these combos coming out. Lake Stevens trying to take us for a ride once again. And the defense here, especially from Hugo, has been really impressive so far, whether it be the witch times or just the opportunities they really have been showing just to kind of like make the most from their movement. Bayonetta, very tricky character to hit. You just kind of just see them pull options out of nowhere, it feels like sometimes. And Rocco's having a hard time getting in, really just finding the options. The up smash will take a stock though, and at 72%, still doable, but they have to make sure they can start getting something going soon, especially because Pitt, with some rage, kind of has a few niche kill options that might start to come into effect here on this last stock.
Yep, absolutely do, and they've got full rage now to work with. You can see playing around the shield a little bit more. I like this call from Kennedy Catholic, almost in the same way with the Jigglypuff matchup. You know that Bayonetta is going to be throwing out a bunch of options, and a lot of them aren't as safe on shield as they would like you to believe. So I like the adaptation, but hang on a second. Lake Stevens going very far off stage. They will manage to land it back off of the ledge and get into center stage once more. But Rocco is not letting the stock go very easily, but they're not going to have to give it very easily. It is taken by force by Fugo on Lake Stevens. And they secure that third kill in emphatic fashion. Lake Stevens up in the set, up game number 4.
Love to see the use of the witch time from Fugo there. Using that to secure the last stock, then the jab, and then the up smash. Great integral part of Bayonetta gameplay, because you have the offense with the combos to extend stuff, then you have the defensive options like witch time to kind of then use that as like your best translation into offense. I'm wondering what the game plan is going to be here for Rocco. As a player who's secondary Pit and Dark Pit for a long time now, I really want to start seeing a lot more of the down tilts. I want to see some more use of the grabs and the throws. You get a lot of nice combos of your own as Pit and Dark Pit. So if you're able to just get some percentage going, you got some honest kill options there. This could be very close if you just start throwing those adaptations. And I think here on FD, you can get some decent value as well, especially when you don't have platforms to really worry about.
Already. Better start to game number 2 than we saw for game number 1 for this Dark Pit. As they do have this Bayonetta on the ledge, and there's that grab that you were talking about. Gets the F throw off and looking for maybe a jump read, going for that nair up high above the ledge, but will just settle for that good, strong side B. Maybe the adaptation is already underway here, as you can see Bayonetta starting to struggle, but does land a very solid combo. That'll even the percent lead back up. So you can see this Dark Pit beginning to throw out some of these more chunky options, trying to land a good hard hurt box on top of this Bayonetta, and somehow dodges that up smash. That might have just done it on the ledge. Finds themselves in a grab and off stage. And even though they got that good lead, I mean, they are back in the deficit once more.
Yeah, and that up smash is going to get punished and hit by the rapid jab. Not going to take out the stock on impeccable DI to take us into the top right corner there. Gonna use a side B twice, actually, to get back to stage. Forward throw should take the stock here, as Fugo once again finds themselves in an advantageous spot here. Rocco playing much better though than they were in that last game. Can definitely secure this stock here, whether it be from an aerial or even just use of like these arrows, trying to just snipe out this Bayonetta and figure out a way to equalize us here, take us to a tied game at 2 stocks apiece. Side B is going to be the option, and here we are now at 2-2.
Yeah, that hits pretty darn hard, man, and manages to find that one on a very high percent on the Bayonetta. Here's another grab that you were talking about. Doesn't manage to get a whole lot from it, but does demonstrate that starting to pull out some of the other tools in the toolkit here and get a little bit more work done with something that they haven't shown up until this point. And I love the shielding as well. I was talking about it early in game number 1, waiting for this Bayonetta to throw out an unsafe option and then punish it after the fact, almost kind of in a similar way to you fight against Kazuya. He is kind of getting a lot better value, but I mean, you still have to avoid every single one of these Bayonetta combos, it feels like. When you're at 108% on FD, it feels like there's going to be a much more tall task for you. They'll actually get battered back toward the stage, Spicy, and they will get center stage for it, but that F smash will certainly send them to that right-hand blast zone.
Yeah, and that's a stock once again here, as Fugo was doing a great job of punishing out in this advantageous state. Once again, trying to rock with these combos here, gets parried as a result, but we're able to keep this pressure going and waiting out these air dodges and knowing when to go in. You're loving to see that adaptation as well, now that you know that Rocco's playing with some more defensive options in mind. It's kind of a bit of a bait and punish that we love to see. Forward throw now coming out here from Rocco with the dark pit, and we're trying to see if they're able to take us to a last stock situation, like the use of the arrows to kind of follow up, but really have to start using some of these melee options as well, just to tack on some damage here. Side B is going to be punished, as once again Fugo is just tacking on this extra percentage.
103 on the Dark Pit on their final stock, which would mean an F Smash would definitely get it done. We've seen a couple of those come out from Fugo the Bayonetta, but instead they'll just take them back into center stage and get the job done the dirty way. Back air won't do it yet, but one more of those certainly would get it done. Clips them with the fancy footwork up there, and another back air. I called it 2 seconds in advance, Spicy. The second one certainly does send them into the blast zone and will be awarding Lake Stevens with 4 more points, which will put them up 9-2 over Kennedy Catholic. And I do believe that puts the game out of reach of Kennedy, which unfortunately means for them, Lake Stevens, one way or another, regardless of how this last game goes, will be the ones walking away with the victory here in this week.
And it's a big win here for Lake Stevens. You talked about it before, but momentum, especially when you have a string of rescheduled matches upcoming, this is a great way to snowball your way into a potential playoff spot. Able to just build off the win after win potentially, and really not only maybe get yourselves in the playoffs, but a team with momentum is one of the scariest opponents you'll ever see in a postseason matchup. Unfortunately here for Kennedy Catholic, that is another loss on their board, but I know this is a community that really enjoys just playing with each other, and they just like being around each other. And that's honestly some of the fundamental aspects of just, forget even esports, it's a fundamental part of gaming as a whole, and you love to see that. And I love to see just how, like, in classic esports, you still have like people, we're just here to have fun, and yes, we want to win, but at the end of the day, as long as you're enjoying the game, you love to see that here. And Kennedy Catholic put on a pretty good show for us here today. Don't let the score fool you. Got on the board as well, and it's overall, that record I feel like isn't exactly a perfect way to describe this season.
Kennedy, a team that have reported to us that, you know, they're just happy to be here, man. They're just playing some Smash Bros, enjoying themselves. They meet on every Thursday, regardless of in season or not. It's not only to get the practice in. They just like the reps. They like playing with each other. So shout out to Kennedy for a great atmosphere over there. Whereas across the way, I mean, different volitions for sure for this Lake Stevens squad. They've represented themselves as being very hungry for an opportunity this season, because last year they felt like it was a bit of a rough end to the season for them, and they're very grateful for the opportunity to play against this Kennedy roster that they've played against in the state level quite a few times in the past. And they're ready to get things underway as we get underway here, Spicy, in game number 5. Again, points very much in favor of Lake Stevens. Not going to be a comeback in the making for Kennedy Catholic, but certainly some more opportunities for learning experiences and getting a little bit more matchup knowledge.
And an interesting matchup we got here. What a option here from Rogue Fox, the Kennedy Catholic Zelda. Love the use of the down air, comboing that into the up aerial. Instead here from the batter, we got the PK Flash coming out, and there's something here with these Lake Steven Nest players using these PK Flashes, knowing how to read these recoveries. Love to see just the explosive options coming out. You don't see it all the time everywhere you go, but when it hacks a punch, you might as well throw it out if you know it's going to connect. And here we are now, 2 stocks apiece from this matchup. Things gotta be pretty interesting, especially when you have such strong aerials from both sides.
And it's got to be such a cool dynamic as well, right? To have your number 1 and your number 5 player maining, presumably, the same character. I mean, getting an opportunity to teach and to learn from the top and from the bottom. Very, very cool stuff from Lake Stevens, as they have managed to find themselves a decent lead here in the second stock, getting the Zelda very close to kill percent. Ooh. And actually, just the PK Thunder up there will get it done, apparently. Some decent base knockback on that one will send the Zelda to the splat screen, mean that now Kennedy Catholic in a bit of a hole here in a matchup where up until this point things looked decently even, and even Kennedy Catholic had the lead earlier on. Rogue Fox, if I'm not mistaken, took the first stock and managed to get themselves now in a point where it's going to be challenging to find their way back into this one, especially if Ness seems to be willing to slow down the game and play the whiff punish game like they are now.
Yeah, Rogue Fox here with the Zelda understands very well that Zelda is not a character that does well in this disadvantageous state when you are losing and you were kind of forced to approach and throw out these laggier options here. The down smash is a great way to read that jump, and there's nothing you can do here if you are the batter from Lake Stevens. Suddenly we are now at a last stock situation, right up air, and another PK Flash gonna really put Rogue Fox into a dangerous spot. Once again, just trying to navigate the slight zoning as well as these combo options. And really, when you have to start to see these back airs coming out from the batter, it's such a scary place to be in here if you are Rogue Fox.
Yeah, because you know Ness isn't back airing unless you're either at or very close to kill percent for back air. Even the forward air sends pretty decently far off stage now. Going for another PK Flash, but just to set up for that yo-yo up smash will get the job done there for Lake Stevens and give them the 1-0 lead in this final best of 3. And again, they have already taken the win for the week, but definitely want to give every single one of these players the opportunity to get some matchup knowledge, get some experience, and just get to have a little bit of fun.
Oh yeah, and everything goes well here. If you're able to get a little bit of fun, get some practice in, every match really begins to matter, even if you aren't playing for like a record here. You love to see that both these players are going in, locking in right away, trying to see what are the adaptations being made here. I liked a lot of what Rogue Fox was doing. It's just a matter of like Zelda, unfortunately, just isn't an amazing character. You will kind of have to deal with just being slow. You have some decent zoning options, you have some power, but if you get opened up, you get opened up like crazy. And Ness has some nice combo options of their own here as well, and you're starting to see the batter. I love the use of the side magnet, just trying to use that, and you like to see the mix-ups with the movement, trying to use it for some combo extensions, really using Ness's kit to the fullest of its capability.
I've said it before, that's when you really start to see the level up from these Ness players. The more you see that magnet come out, that's how you know that they're thinking like an extra level on top of what, I don't want to say casual Ness player is, but the average or the unascended, we'll say, Ness player. You can tell that the batter definitely putting a lot of hours into this character, and I think that the name will certainly hint at that as well. As will the performance from them here. Got this Zelda back to 115, and, you know, before I can even mention it, gets another up smash off. That covers a lot of airspace and manages to take away that first stock. Only 65% on this Ness as well. That is still a very easy thing to hang on to, at least in this matchup.
Sure, yeah, and you love to see the use of the up smash from Ness. They're taking us around the world, not only to take this first stock, but the last stock in game 1. This is a scary spot to be in a bit, though, if you are Ness. Zelda, these aerials, the forward and back aerials are just so strong. These lightning kicks are so deceptively good if you are able to land these sweet spots. And Zelda, a lot of power here. It's just about landing the hits, which becomes a bit tricky. Up smash is going to take the stock off the top, and that is insane here, as here we are. 2 stocks apiece, and trying to see if Rogue Fox is able to make a bit of a comeback here.
Yeah, they got the same star KO off of an up smash that the batter did, so at least have that going for them, but they are down about 80%, getting juggled by that PK Thunder. That's such a difficult thing for Zelda to deal with. Not a bunch of great tools, and wow, a very creative recovery with that teleport to the left side of the stage. Almost didn't think that the Magnet Hands would get them back, but even though they did manage to land on the stage, their life was not very long lasted after that, especially now that the batter beginning to go into some of these low percent Nest combos, which can be pretty punishing. Can even set up for some early kills if you're not careful. Rogue Fox now back close to kill percent, gonna have to be very careful with how they make their ascent, especially once you've got these PK rockets coming off.
Yeah, when you see PK Thunder turn to PK Rocket, also seeing Side Magnet used as intended, taking some recovery as well from this Din's Fire. The batter is playing so well at this point. Trying to see if they have any other options up their sleeve here. Maybe you got the F smash. Haven't seen a lot of down smash usage. Seen a lot of up smash with this yo-yo, and haven't really had an opportunity to just go for a back throw. 130%. A lot of moves here from Ness's kit will start to take this stock. And now it's a matter of just seeing the back air. That seals the deal, as Lake Stevens adds another 4 points to their record here. Takes set number 5, wins the matchup here, 13-2.
And that's absolutely a harbinger of the end once you see those back airs start to come out from Ness, and manages to find it in a pretty short amount of time there and take away that final stock. Credit where it's due to Lake Stevens. I mean, I said at the beginning, this is a team that hasn't been tested as routinely as some of these other rosters on account of just some of the reschedules, and that happens to these teams sometimes, where just can't manage to line up schedules and end up delaying some of those sets for later on. But they still looked very, very good in this one, Spicy, and I'm very interested to see what the record looks like once they get those games updated and start to progress along with some of these matchups, because especially once we got into those last couple of players from them, it really felt like they were starting to come into their own and demonstrate a lot of what we're looking for in these playoff caliber teams.
Yeah, you're starting to see that Lake Stevens really building up a lot of momentum, and this is something you can definitely look to see them see what are they able to build up towards as they go potentially into the postseason. And speaking of building, I want to give another thank you to Seattle Built PCs for their continued support of WSSEA. Seattle Built PCs are the custom PC builders trusted by the pros, and since 2020, they've been crafting incredible rigs for world-famous esports players, content creators with millions of fans, and even the developers of your favorite games. And Seattle Built PC wants to work with you guys to create the perfect PC for your needs whenever you guys are ready. So if you're looking for a custom PC built by people who care, check out Seattle Built PCs at seattlebuilt.com.
And we want to give a thanks as well once more to our other sponsors, Zotac and LANFest. You can see all three down underneath us here for helping us put this together. And of course, as always, a big shout out to Connie and Taylor and Jaden and everybody at LANFest for helping us put the production together. And that is going to do it for us for this week, Spicy. It was a bit of a short one and a bit of a chaotic one, but we are done with Smash Bros. For now. We're going to be booting back up next week on Wednesday at 4 p.m. PST. We'll have some Valorant going for you guys. I'm not sure if we've got Smash coming the day after, but we'll definitely let you guys know and keep you guys updated. But for now, I've not been Spicy. They've been Spicy. I've been Kaizo. This has been an excellent production from LANFest WSSEA Smash Bros. We'll catch you guys in the next one.